Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us for the 2025 USA Project highlights. We did Canada yesterday, we're doing USA today. We're doing our favorite and most impactful projects from across the continent. It's the end of the year. It's a great time to look back and think about what's happened, what's next. I'm Johnny Rezvani. I am the communications director for 475 High Performance Building Supply. And in my role, I get to see the best of the best because one of my favorite things that I get to do is to promote the great work that is happening all around us with our partners, with our clients, with people who are building high performance and really building like the future depends on it, like our slogan says. To do that, we're using the materials that we stock here in the US. So, our bread and butter, the most important part of the envelope, we believe, is the air and vapor control provided by Proclima. We have this year come out with a smart vapor control slash insulation layer called Smart Rock, a very long-term partnership with Rockwool that has combined the IntelliPlus and Rockwool's mineral wool insulation. Very excited about that and just starting to see that come out across the US. We'll see some of that today. We have the Brink units, which came out a couple years ago, but really came into its own this last year. We've had the Lunos products, decentralized heat recovery ventilation that has been with us for over a decade now and are performing very well all across the US. We have our daylight systems, the pitched roof Facro skylights. We have our flat roof skylights and entire glass roof systems provided by Lamelux, and of course, quality control from Passive House Institute software. So, with that, we're going to pass it off to my partner in crime in marketing department, Rachel Bernstein.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Rachel. I do marketing with Johnny. This year, we introduced this new presentation format here at 475 called Building Blocks. Last year, many of you joined us for our weekly Thursday office hours, which were helpful, but we saw an opportunity to make them even more focused and valuable. So we reimagined the format and launched this monthly series built around our most popular blogs and videos and concepts. So each month, Building Blocks gives us a chance to take one important topic and dig into it with a short presentation, followed by an open floor discussion where you can bring your questions or your design challenges or any issues that you're facing on your projects. And when we first came up with this idea, we honestly weren't sure how it would go, but we've now held 9 presentations this year, and the turnout and engagement have been better than we ever expected. It's been amazing to see how many of you show up and participate and help shape the conversation. So as we look ahead to next year, we want your input. So please comment below with topics you'd like us to cover in 2026. Your feedback is super helpful and ensures that these sessions continue to meet your needs. So thank you so much for being here today and throughout the year. We really do appreciate this community so much. Let's dive into the 2025 project highlights.
All right. And first up is going to be Ben Olander, who's with us in the Colorado office covering the Midwest and Rockies. And Ben, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Olander. I cover the Midwest and Rockies, as Johnny said. 17 states, so a pretty wide range in projects across my region. The ones I'm going to highlight today are going to be, oh, it went too quick. It will be Timber Age Systems, which will be a CLT company based out of Durango, Colorado. They have these great products, building out a system based on an interior core of ponderosa pine. So they're using reclaimed wood from the Forest Service and turning them into beautiful homes. But the process in which they do so is very interesting. They utilize our Proclima system with the Hero 3000 as their primary air barrier on the back side of their CLT, as you see in the exploded image in the middle. From there, they build out their stud cavity with framing and dense pack the wall, finishing off with our Soltex Mento Plus, which is a membrane that can be dense packed directly through. This was a very unique project to be on site, given that all of the materials are sourced locally from Colorado and they are building local as well, this being in Boulder. The image on the right is real unique. It's showing some of the complicated air sealing details they would have to go through to seal their wall sections to their floor and then turning that to the outside of the structure. Here's a great walkthrough, kind of showcasing the interior finish, which is the CLT panels themselves. They're very beautiful. You get the wood grain exposed, and they have a unique detail, which I love, as you see that window and door, that they actually pre-notch them out. So on install, they just have to saw those out, and then the homeowner can use them as tables, doors, and different things in the home. Here's some additional shots of the structure. They have recently completed the second level and are wrapping that. And I hope to be going back soon in the coming weeks to see windows and doors and the project finish off. The next project I wanted to talk about was a collaboration between Eco Cocoon and Old Town Design Build located in Fort Collins, Colorado. This project was atop of a mountain in Loveland. So definitely a more unique job site, given that they had to clear off a mountaintop to build the project. They had unique challenges given the constraints of space with craning in materials. But here in the center, you're seeing their unique straw bale panels. So these panels are paired with our Soltex Mento 1000 system. They wrap each panel individually, tape the seams of those panels, and as you see on the image on the right, you can see their wall sections coming together. That's actually made up of many different Lego blocks, like I like to call them. This was a cool project that had very unique challenges given that it was on top of a mountain. The wind was very aggressive, and they actually didn't have many issues. On the interior, they used Intello Plus, our interior air barrier and smart vapor retarder. And then for the walls, they also used our DB Plus, our more sustainable grade smart vapor retarder as well. So this was a cool project that really showcased that even in adverse conditions, atop of a mountain, you still can achieve passive house levels of efficiency. So I hope to go back out to this one soon as well to see how they've really buttoned up the exterior and siding and finished up. The last project I wanted to touch on, which is my favorite, this is a project that is a sheathingless enclosure with geometry and materials. This is what I like to call more of an experimental build. I don't see many projects doing these type of assemblies, and it's really unique when an architect or builder wants to attempt to do something out of our ebooks. So this is showcasing our I-joist assembly. You can see the build out from the top left image through to the bottom right. He started with a normal framed in wall. He has an I-joist inboard of this, which he dense packed. And then as he built out the wall, he put I-joists around the entire structure and then wrapped it with our Solotex Mento Plus. That can be dense packed directly through, allowing him to have a fully packed in wall without needing sheathing on the outside. And then showcasing at the last, the rooftop detail, which is showing an after applied rafter tail so he can maintain his drainage and vented cavity. The last detail of this project, which I really want to highlight, and we do have a 475 building blocks segment on it, is a slabless slab. I've never seen one of these in person, and it was very interesting to see this be put together. The assembly was compact gravel and then two layers of this thick foam. He then wrapped our Stego subslab vapor barrier atop of it to air seal the system and then put a subfloor down. So overall, all of these projects were really, real unique and experimented, trying different things that we like to see in the construction space. And I'm always happy to support and hope to see more of these in the coming year. Thank you.
All right, and up next we have Ian. Ian staying out west on the West Coast. Ian is joining us from Bend, Oregon. And Ian, you can take it away.
Thanks for the intro, Johnny. Yeah, one last thing to note is I've been with 475 since 2018, and it has been a very fun ride, and I'm excited to see everybody else's presentations today too. So um, I'm going to be showing you two projects. One of them, a custom home in Oregon with a timber framed mass timber and Gutex wood fiber, and another project in Truckee, California that was designed to the Passive House standard with some tricky air sealing transitions. That one designed by Studio Loadline and Sally Gimbert. So this is the first project in Oregon. The timber frame's going up here, so obviously going to be a very beautiful interior. We have the mass timber CLT panels going up on the outside. These are manufactured by SmartLam in Montana. And a nice picture here seeing how the project's coming together and what it's going to look like on the inside. So really nice home to reside in. The panels were protected by our Adhero 3000 membrane. This membrane was installed in the shop in Montana by SmartLam, and then we used Tescon Vanatape and Viscon to seal up the exterior for a complete air and water control layer. One unique thing about this project is it's a second project to this project that you can see in the back to the left. And both of these projects were mass timber and both were insulated with Gutex wood fiber. But there's a big difference between how the Gutex wood fiber transitioned from the walls to the roof in either project. So this is the original shop project. And like I said, Gutex wood fiber is going to be added to the walls and the roof here. And what you can see is that there's an actual thermal bridge created by the CLT panel that overhangs to create the eaves. So on the second custom home project, the homeowner actually disconnected the eaves from the roof structure. So you can see there's a pretty big gap there. And again, now we have the ability to have a continuous layer of Gutex from the walls to the roof. And you can see that here in this image, that Gutex is filling up that space above the roof to the eaves. And then what you can see here is that complete transition of the Gutex wood fiber from walls to roof. And they're actually completing the rain screen from walls to roof as well, which is pretty cool. Last picture here of this project, you can see the plywood sheathing going on those battens that are creating that rain screen above the Gutex with the underlayment above and eventually metal roof. So high performance, vented, mass timber, timber frame, Gutex wood fiber project. Pretty unique, I thought. Second project here was in Truckee, California. Truckee is a very unique place. It's at 6,000 feet, gets a lot of snow, very cold in the winter, but nice and toasty in the summer. And the project was designed to the Passive House standard. I don't believe they're certifying, but here's a nice picture of the project. They have some really deep overhangs over those south-facing windows. This project, or excuse me, I took this photo in June last year or this year. So you can see that even in the middle of summer, a lot of those windows are being completely shaded by the solar radiation. The project was wrapped on the walls with 3 inches of mineral wool in addition to the Adhero 3000, which acted as that water and air control layer. So this is what you need to hit the Passive House standard PHI in this climate. So just about 3 inches of exterior with, a 2x6 framed wall. So getting into the tricky transitions here with air sealing, that last project that we saw in Oregon had a nice transition from wall to roof of that water and air control layer. This project had these rafters that extended through the walls, and so they were sealed up with that Tescon Vanatape around each rafter. We also had a condition where we had living space above a garage. So I'm standing in an unconditioned garage here, and you can see where that arrow is pointing above those floor joists is conditioned space. So they're planning to wrap Menta 1000 on the underside of those floor joists to encapsulate the living space. Another nice tricky transition here was at this cantilevered floor. So you can see the Adhero 3000 on the walls transitioning to the underside of that cantilevered floor with the Menta 1000, which will eventually be connected to that Adhero 3000 on the wall below. So really fun project, beautiful project, some tricky air sealing transitions. And this is the project team. Sally designed the home at Studio Load Line. We've got the builder there in the middle, Wade Davey, and Passive House consultant, Steve Mann. And check out the project on Instagram at Tahoe Passive House.
Next up, we're going to go with John Deans, who's covering the Northeast. So, John, take it away.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so I am product consultant for Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. I live in Rhode Island, and it's been a very busy year in this area. Hard to choose just a couple of projects, but give it my best shot here. So first up, This is a project that has been a lot of fun to follow this year and help out with. So this is an old 200-year-old barn in Newton, Mass. And the builder on this project is Auburndale Builders. And the customer or client for this one is the Studio for High Performance Design and Construction. And it's an organization I've been spending a lot of time working with, and I get to come in and help them with their high performance carpentry classes. And this barn is their new classroom space. So it had some really cool features. And this is a little bit of what the organization does. So it's always great to be able to participate in the community like this. They had to do a ton of structural work in the place just to kind of get it stabilized for the enclosure. But this is going to be a Passive House certified building. And in particular, the roof was a really interesting system. So they reframed the roof with 2 bys and then did this vented Mento Plus roof system here. So they had to vent the shed roof up this little tiny wall and then up onto the major roof. And so if you go through our building blocks presentations, I actually get into this one in more detail in our roof assembly one. But it was just a really cool project, and they had really great sequencing where they put the Intello Plus in the places where it needed to go to make those connections from one space to the next. And this is, I was just there yesterday meeting with them, and this is what the place is looking like right now. It's coming together. And they're actually soon going to be putting a Brink ventilation system in 2 different Brink units to help the space. It was sort of an interesting challenge because they have to ventilate this space that could have 30 people, and then when the staff are just in there, there's only a couple of folks. So been a cool challenge to work with them on that. Moving along, this project is the first Smart Rock project I've gotten to be involved in. Just cool to see it actually on the wall. This is in South Boston, project by Hediger Homes, and I was actually just there yesterday as well. And they did a fantastic job. And so what's kind of neat is that the white that you see on the brick that they haven't covered yet is actually the white Viscon. So that's where the system starts, is with the liquid applied Viscon membrane. And then we have the Smart Rock, and the seams are taped, and the patches in the middle are over the fasteners that are holding it on the wall. So they've just done a phenomenal job with it. They had to reframe each one of the floors as well in this process, and so they're actually integrating that ledger system you can see as part of the air barrier. So they're taping to it from below and then taping to the subfloor above it, and that's all connected for a continuous air control layer throughout the building. One of the interesting spots in this is they do have this curved bump out, and they were able to get the Smart Rock to actually conform to that curve. And do these nice, beautiful curved plates. So that's going to be a really nice space when they're done with it. Last project that I wanted to go through is a community project down in South Kingstown by Habitat for Humanity. It was a 1998 habitat build that then they were doing a major renovation on for a new homeowner. And so this is what it looked like when it started. And you can see there was this really strong attempt at air sealing. You see this poly everywhere and the red tape. So they gave it their best effort for 27 years ago or whatever. But it was time to do something a little bit new. We look in a little bit closer. One of the cool things that I saw was Lesco boxes, one of the products that we sell now, but was used, even 27 years ago to help to air seal outlets. This is the kitchen window, probably one of the worst spots. You can see that I'm holding what used to be framing in my hand that is now dust. And working with volunteers was a lot of fun. It was just really cool to get out and be a part of it all. And this was a women's build day that I got to go be a part of that was really awesome. And just really cool to see folks really engaging with these products and these processes. So fast forward, we now have Intello Plus on the wall. That's going to be the primary air barrier and smart vapor control for the system going forward. This is a local technical high school, Cheraho Career Tech, and they came out and we did blower door testing, and they got to learn about that, and just a really great way to involve the community. So I was really happy to be a part of that project, and it's just always great to see people learning these new systems. So I think that's it for me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a very inspiring one. And up next, we have Nick Shaw, who's covering the Southeast, who's been with us for quite a while. Nick, when do you remember when you started? It's like
Yeah,
pretty early on.
2017, something around there.
Right
Yeah.
on.
But yeah, I cover the Southeast, kind of Mid-Atlantic area. I've been really happy with how much is happening around like the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Baltimore area, and Maryland. A lot of great projects in Texas. A lot happening around Atlanta, a lot happening around Nashville. But I live in Western North Carolina in Asheville. And I'm excited to be featuring a project in Brevard, not very far away from me. You can see it's the red dot here. It is in climate zone 4A. It's about as far south as you can get while still being in climate zone 4. But this is a fantastic project. It's very close to the Tennessee border, very close to the South Carolina border. But this project is a rebuild of an existing home with an addition. They went with it Hero 3000 on the walls and then Mento 3000 for their pitched roofs. So here we can see that existing framing. And on the image on the right, you can see that they painstakingly shaved and removed the old spray foam that was used on that old building. It can be really difficult to remove. So there is still some residue of it there, but they're trying to rehab this project to be good for the next 100 years. So we need to be removing these old materials that were trapping moisture and could have been creating some wood rot concerns. And on the image on the left, we can see this new framed structure meeting that old existing frame, and that has been covered with the Hero 3000 membrane. So this is a fully adhered membrane. It's a peel and stick. You can be using it on walls or pitched roofs. You just overlap the seams, no additional tape needed. On the right, you can see them kind of framing out that roof with their lookouts and their site built set up for their scaffolding on the ladders there. This project is utilizing exterior mineral wool insulation. So they did a little buck out for their windows. They have a flanged unit and they wanted to kind of keep that in line with that exterior insulation. So here on the left, you can see that sill that's been prepped with the ExtoSeal Encores. This is our vapor closed, more butyl stretchy tape. We do that for our sills because it's a horizontal surface that could have standing water. You can see that they placed some shims to be able to work in a pitch on that sill while still set that window unit level and flat. You can see the flange being attached to that buck in the middle image. And actually, the header of that buck is another horizontal surface. So they topped that top edge of the header with the ExtoSeal Encores again, so that if there is standing water, it won't diffuse in over time. Another option would be just to be working in a bit of a pitch on that top header. For the roof, they have a ventilated gap between the roof sheathing and the Mento. So this Mento is airtight, watertight, and vapor open. So vapor permeable. It's allowing the assembly to dry outwards through diffusion. So any moisture that is built up can dry out. It will then hit this drainage plane and shed away from the building. Very similar roof approach to what John was showing earlier. But I think it's a really great approach to be getting this type of below sheathing vented roof with just one layer of sheathing. And on the right here, we're showing that eave detail where they are taping around some of those rafter tails that were continuous. And you can see the Mento overlapping and taping to that Hero on the walls. They are including the Intella Plus on the interior as the interior air barrier and vapor variable membrane. You can see the backside of the Mento in that image on the left, that kind of black material. And then in the center, just kind of showing an outdoor outlet. Fairly simple install there, but it's just a nice clean detail to tape pinch tape around those wires that penetrate the adhero. As a gasket is helpful. A gasket, you're allowed to adjust those wires, but with a pinch tape, you can still get a good air seal, and they're holding that outlet off so it's in line with their exterior insulation, so it's not kind of a deep alcove there. And on the right, you can see that exterior insulation butting up to that window buck and then that furring strip being applied to create that drainage plane, that rain screen vented cavity. So everything is lining up nicely. And here's the project in process still. It is still currently under renovation, but a nice clean adhero install. That roof sheeting's all on and all waterproofed in. So now they're dried in for the winter and can transition to doing interior work.
All right, you can see a theme. It was a major year for Adhero. This is also the year that we came out with Adhero 1000. So we have two different varieties of Adhero, 1000 for the walls, 3000 for the roof, or 3000 for the walls if you want to go extra robust. And next up, we have Eddie, who is by geography the smallest but mightiest, probably, section of the country that we have here, our home base, New York City metro area. And so, Eddie, you can take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Johnny. So like Johnny said, my name's Eddie. I've been with 475 for about 2 years now. And I cover the New York City metro area and downstate New York. No one ever knows where downstate and upstate end, but for us, that's just Westchester County. So I'll feature a project in Westchester and two projects in New York City. All right, so these are the three projects I'm going to be talking about. First is in Westchester, a kind of rural suburban residence, and the other two are in more dense urban environments here in the city. So the first one is pretty similar to the project that Nick featured. Features Adhero on the exterior and Intello on the interior. The architect was Hopkins architect Brian Hopkins, and the builder was Anthony Marchioni of CRC. They are actually business partners, so they work together on all their projects, and so communication between builder and architect here is seamless, which is great when you are building a building that is a passive house, and construction sequencing and detailing is really important. So they really nailed it on this job. As you can see, there are a lot of floppy bits. That's what we call these pieces of Intello hanging out. Sometimes they're not using Intello for a floppy bit, but they did a really good job thinking about the sequencing to make sure that the interior air barrier transitioned smoothly to the exterior so that places like this cantilevered overhang were still totally airtight on both sides. This project also has exterior insulation. I don't know the exact thickness, but they are utilizing mineral wool with a double strapping system on the exterior so that they can mount their vertically oriented siding and still maintain both liquid water drainage and a vertical channel for humidity to vent from the to the top of the wall. You can see that here they did a monopoly framing approach, unlike the project that Nick featured. So the Adhero wraps continuously from the roof to the wall. So it's very easy to detail and sequence that way. And it's a really clean, modern aesthetic, which the architect and the client here really wanted. On the interior, here's some shots of the Intello being installed. You can see they, in the middle image here, really thoughtfully taped around the joist and rafter penetrations, and then they really connected them well to their high performance windows as well. Next project I'm going to talk about, a very different project, is 134 Vanderbilt in Brooklyn, New York. This was not a passive house, but it was airtight, did feature high performance windows and doors, and notably featured the Lunos system as the ventilation system. This was built by KSK. New Way was the installer of the Lunos system. And then the architect and developer have worked together on many projects. They are Sowheel and Tank House. They have a lot of projects in the multifamily high performance world in New York City. You can see some really beautiful shots of the exterior here. They went with kind of a fluted precast pink concrete facade to sort of stand out, but also sort of blend into a lot of the pinkish, reddish masonry in the neighborhood. So they're adding a lot of value to the neighborhood by creating a really dense building, adding more housing to the neighborhood, trying to stand out and fit in kind of all at the same time. You can see next to the windows here, all of those gray hoods are the exterior hoods of the Lunos system that ventilates each unit. Here are a couple of cool drawings that they did showing kind of like an axo of what each unit looks like. This is luxury housing, so there are quite spacious units. I forget exactly how many units there are in total, but the from the ground floor up, there are a number of high performance individual residences. So here's how one of them works on the ground floor. You can see that unit is one of the smaller ones. So I think they only needed two Lunos units in this one bedroom here. And you can see in the graphic on the left how the Lunos system is working. So if anyone on the call is not familiar with it, basically it is a high performance HRV that does not require an extensive network of ducts. So there is two fans, or sometimes four or six or eight, depending on the size of the space, that operate in conjunction with each other. One will supply air, one will exhaust air, and they will alternate every 70 seconds so that they can perform the heat recovery. Each fan has a heat recovery core built into it rather than a centralized heat recovery core. So as one fan is exhausting air, the conditioned air on the interior heats up and charges the core. And then when it switches to supply, that heat can be reabsorbed by the incoming air. And it can provide totally balanced, continuous ventilation to small spaces. So it's really suitable for retrofits, tiny homes, but also multifamily projects as well. And then the last project that I'm going to highlight is super interesting. The architect is Jenny Payson Architect, and the builder was Axia. This is in a more residential neighborhood, also in Brooklyn, where a lot of the homes are freestanding, which is not common in all of the neighborhoods in Brooklyn. And this was a historic home in a historic neighborhood with a contemporary addition. So as you can see, the front-facing part of the home, facing the street, is the historic portion, and then they added a contemporary addition in the rear. While this isn't going to be a certified passive house, they did take a lot of care to integrate the air sealing details between new and old to make sure that they could get as good of a blower door test result as possible, which will be done fairly soon, I believe. So good luck to the team on this project on your blower door test. As you can see, the wall assembly is in the new construction and the old construction portion of the home are slightly different. Both feature an interior and exterior air barrier and exterior insulation. The old portion of the home had historic interiors that needed to be preserved, so there is no service cavity there. You can see in the new construction wall assembly, there is a service cavity. So that allows electrical to be run to the interior of the interior air barrier without any penetrations at all. And as you can see, there are slightly different amounts of exterior insulation in these two wall assemblies as well, because you do get a little bit of extra R value from the insulation in the service cavity. On the rear, you can see there was a small portion that was demolished in order to make way for the new addition. And as you can see, they did a really great job creating this rain screen assembly here with totally continuous insulation integrated into the high performance windows on the rear. Just to zoom in on one of those details, the rear did feature really clever sequencing that was very thoughtful. So the interior walls had Intello installed before the exterior walls went up so that you can have totally continuous air tightness between rooms without having to wrap around that interior wall last stud. There was really great installation of the window details as well, as you can see. And then finally on the front, you can see that the historic nature of the facade was reconstructed in order to make sure that the Adhero installation was totally continuous, but the historic nature of the facade was preserved behind the rain screen assembly. So hats off to the project teams for all of these projects. And yeah, to the Titmus Park team, good luck on your blower door test. Can't wait to see the results.
All right. Well, thank you, Eddie. And next up, also based in New York, but covering not just New York, the entire continent, US and Canada, is Jeremy Latriano, the head of our daylight team. And so let me just set you up, Jeremy, and you can take it away.
Great. Thanks, Johnny. Yes, I am Jeremy, the Daylight Team Manager, and the team that I manage consists of myself, Delia Murphy, our customer service representative, and Stephen Dahlgren, our product/project manager. So if you get in touch with 475 from anywhere in the US to talk about skylights, you'll be speaking with one of us and working with on one of us, and we're quite excited to collaborate and support you for any skylight needs that you require. As a reminder, 475 partners with two skylight manufacturers, Lamlux out of Germany and Fatco out of Poland. I'm excited today to be featuring projects from both of those product groups, or to feature both those product groups, I should say. Starting with the Santa Fe Institute. So the Santa Fe Institute, I'm just going to press play on my video here, is a lecture hall building that we worked on primarily with Be Public, although we were also in contact in the early design phase with Thomas Easterson Bond from Santa Fe Institute. This project featured Be Public's gorgeous prefabricated panels. So you can see here at Hero on the exterior, and we'll see in a second Intello on the interior. This is the first project that we got to support Be Public on by providing skylights. Here we can see the Lamilux PR60, fully customizable knockdown system, otherwise known as a mullion and transom system. This unique PR60 was engineered specifically for this application and this design. It's a thermally broken, fully airtight solution, so it definitely complements the high-performance enclosure that Be Public constructed. A really cool detail on this PR60 that I want to highlight is this sort of steel beam that ran continuously along the length of the skylight. The architect really wanted to have the steel beam penetrate the skylight. So as you can see here, the glass was divided into two segments, one on either side of that beam. That was a portion of the design that he really didn't want to compromise on, so we really wanted to make it happen for him. And the PR60 and its ability to offer design flexibility is really unmatched. So we were able to make that work. Here we can see kind of how that detail came together. The PR60 allows for more traditional flashing connections to a curb, as you can see on the left and right of this drawing, more of a horizontal flash connection, which is most common, but we can also, through the PR60, allow for vertical flashing connections to a rising wall, or in this case, this steel joist, which penetrated the skylight assembly. So you can see that even though there was very little tolerance to slide the skylight into this space, we were still able to fit the PR60 below the steel box beam at the exterior and have our flashing member just sort of tie in neatly under there. Pain in the butt for our installer to execute, but in the end, it came together really nicely, and we're really happy with the result and happy that we were able to maintain the architect's intention in this design. This does create a bit of a thermal bridge, but as we can see, the PR60 is insulated continuously at its perimeter, and so we are mitigating that thermal bridge by insulating along it, even though we couldn't break it entirely. The next project I want to talk about is closer to home in Brooklyn Heights, actually just a short walk from our office in Cobble Hill. This is another wonderful project, high-performance masonry retrofit from Ingwe Architecture, who's one of the architects I've been working with longest and most frequently, particularly for Lamilux skylights. Dynamic reconstruction, the builder here has also done a wonderful job in general and specifically supporting us in the execution and installation of these, again, Lamilux PR60 systems. Two skylights, or two glass roofs even on this project. Here we can see the larger, which is over a rear space, which will eventually be a dining and kitchen space. That black wall shown in the back will eventually be sliding doors. So this will be a really beautiful day-lit space once it's completed. Also featured on this project was a smaller skylight over a staircase. This is a classic Ingwe architecture detail, allowing for natural light to pour through to the gorgeous staircases that they design. In this case, the skylight is quite substantial because they're getting so much light through the skylight. They opted to go with an exterior flex shade for this PR60. This is actually the first project where we were able to supply and install these exterior textile shades, which, as you can see, allow us to mitigate solar radiation, heat gain, and also illumination for mitigating visual discomfort when the conditions are particularly sunny. Another interesting detail, since this PR60 had to tie into a vertical wall at its ridge, it had to have a structural attachment at the steel joists. So the aluminum steel reinforced profiles of the PR60 were tied into these steel consoles, which Lamilux engineered and supplied as part of their scope. And in that way, we were able to provide structural connections installed as part of 475's package for this specific glass roof. Here is the just section drawing of that same detail. And the final project, which I actually just touched upon this week, is the Vienna Zero Energy project designed by Peabody Fine Architects, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Azumi from Peabody. Thanks for coming, Azumi. Zumi and I worked very closely together on this project to ensure that the skylights were specified and then executed appropriately in the field. This project is exceptionally high performance, and so it was really critical that the skylights provided the thermal performance necessary to not compromise the performance of the enclosure, while also being carefully calibrated to ensure that we're providing the appropriate amount of light without over illuminating and providing too much radiation. So four skylights shown here, that featuring both the Facro F&P fixed skylights and also the Facro FPP top hung skylights. From Facro, we typically supply mostly deck mount skylights for pitch roof applications as shown here. So it provides a nice low profile. Through the Facro system, we also supply insulated flashing kits to ensure that we have a thermally continuous connection to the surrounding roof structure. And in this case, we also provided external shutter blinds, again, so that we can mitigate solar heat gain as needed to minimize penalty on cooling demands. And this project was very innovative in a number of ways and very forward-thinking. It's aiming to achieve FIAS certification as well as Energy Star certification, and overall just features many of the characteristics that 475 believes are essential to a high-performance building. So we have a robust envelope featuring those Facro skylights, and then, of course, a solar array to allow this project to achieve net zero energy. So very excited to see this project come to completion, and stay tuned because I think you'll be seeing a lot more of this project from Peabody in the next few months.
Thank you, Jeremy. And up next, also based in our New York office, is Dylan, who's part of our ventilation team, covering the areas in blue that you see in the map below. And so, Dylan, take it away.
Everybody. Thanks, Johnny. I am the customer service rep for Brink on the West Coast, Rockies, and New England. And my coworker Chris Lee is the rep for the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, South, and Midwest. And Brink is our centralized ERV HRV system. And we've got 4 projects today from the year that I'm gonna want to highlight. The first one is a project very local to us with Red Oak Construction and Andrew Magnus Architecture. Um, Chris worked very closely on this project with Slavik to design and implement the system into this home. So New York City is known for having very tight spaces, very small apartments, and so this team did a great job of implementing all of the mechanical systems as well as electrical and plumbing into this space. One thing that I really liked was on the ERV installation itself, they posted the electrical and installation diagrams so that anybody working on the project has access to that right there very easily to make sure that everything is set up correctly. You'll notice their insulated duct is actually over-insulated because it's got a very long run up to the roof since they couldn't penetrate any of the walls on any of the 4 sides in this build. On the left here, we have what will eventually be the kitchen exhaust, getting 3 ducts as well as that insulated duct then running across the ceiling before going up to the roof. So up here on the roof, we can see this gooseneck coming up, penetrating the roof and getting nice protection from the wind behind this wall and being far away from any exhausts so that you get the freshest air possible coming in. And on the right, we've got more semi-rigid ducts nicely navigating this installation, getting around plumbing, electrical, and structural very nicely. Our next project, we're moving out west to Portland, Oregon, where we worked with A over A Architecture on this Keats multifamily project. They worked with Opus Vitae Construction and Praxis Engineering to develop these compact multifamily units, which get a 225 HRV in each one of them. And these units have a high focus on occupant health as well as carbon sequestration. They use lots of natural materials like clay lime plaster, juniper siding from reclaimed from fire events, wood fiber insulation, and of course, fresh filtered air for maximum occupant health on the interior. The next one we go to was with Kala Architecture in Liberty, Missouri. Kala is based out of Kansas City, and they work in and around the city designing and building custom-built Passive House certified homes. On this project, they worked with McDaniel furnace and sheet metal to get the brink installed. and they went with a Flare 400 ERV. You can see that installed here. Paula likes to go with flex duct as well as McDaniel, and they use flex duct for their 3-inch ducting, which you can see towards the top of this install above the manifold. Then below the manifold, you can see their 7-inch flex duct that they use to access those. It gives them a little bit more flexibility to install and run the ducts around the mechanical room. You can see again here, our insulated ducts are over-insulated with a little bit of more insulation to minimize heat loss to the home as these run across the mechanical room and the space to get to the exterior. This house was about 2,700 square foot, and we went with an ERV ACH of 0.37, giving them a really nice, comfortable environment and lots of fresh air. Another multifamily project that I wanted to highlight in Dorchester, Massachusetts. It is actually using 9 ERVs to supply an affordable housing project that's going to be made up of 3 different buildings, 9 different apartments. And so we worked on this project with Hue Architecture and Star Contracting. There is going to be some videos and media coming out of this project, so stay tuned for that. But that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks and months. I'm really excited to see it. It's going to be really well done.
Well, thank you very much, Dylan. And next off, we're going to Corey in upstate New York, based near Rochester, who also this year started taking on Pennsylvania as well. So, Corey, I'm going to hand it off to you and take it away.
Yeah, and thank you, Dylan, for introing my slide too. I know that it's not Brink, but I mean, my kids are a breath of fresh air, so you got that going for you. And thank you very much. Although I will say, Western New York, Rochester is totally Western New York, but yeah, Western, Upstate, Southern Tier, Northern New York, Pennsylvania, all great things. Uh, there's my map, and here's my first project in Blueberry Hill. I really wanted to showcase this project because it did a lot of the sequential things that we're always kind of talking about. And sequencing is really just integrating air sealing in with framing and finding a way to develop that integrated pathway. So Blueberry Hill did that and then some. You might even notice that the Hero is upside down, but that's not just to turn heads. Hero has a 10-inch starter strip up top, which is used to make the install a little bit easier to line up and keep it smooth throughout. But if you're framing on the flat, that doesn't really do too much for you. So what Ethan over at ES Builders did was he flipped it upside down and used that 10-inch starter strip to tie into his sub-slab vapor barrier that you see in that little GIF going on right now. He also took that a step further in this double stud wall assembly, and he wrapped IntelliX around the rim joist so that he could tie it into the rest of the project. And so you see on the top right, this white cap on the wall. That is the IntelliX after it's been folded up, around the rim joists prior to framing that floor system. He also came up with some great ways to fabricate some rafter tails for this Monopoly framed roof assembly. And you can see here in the middle just what that looks like with that wrapped rim joist on the top and the bottom floors. Next up, we've got City Lights Church over in Manayunk, Pennsylvania. And this is like a really cool retrofit because it confronts reality. This neighborhood is right on the Schuylkill River, and the Schuylkill River is beautiful. However, it has had a number of 100-year floods within the past decade, and that's a problem. As you can see right here, this is where the retrofit is located. It's underwater like a year ago, and it's going to happen again. It has happened before. And the architect, Jeremy Avellino at Brightcommon, said, well, no. Why would I take a whole building and retrofit this whole building when I'm going to expect and anticipate that flood to happen again? We can take every single step and procedure to make sure that it's watertight, but it's still going to flood. There's still going to be entry pathways. And so in a lot of ways, this is adaptive design where he designed out the first floor of this structure right in the floodplain and focused on air sealing it out completely from the second story passive house structure. And so you can see here this Mento Plus that's been air sealed around all of this conduit um, that affectionately called the rib cage. That is to keep all of the flood waters out of the first floor ceiling in between the first floor and the second floor. And you can see up here the second floor. That is where the passive house enclosure is. And just because he's removing it from that enclosure doesn't mean it can't look cool. Doesn't mean he can't add that same level of beauty and bring some new life into this old structure. But he's confronting the future in a different way. He is, and he has not just accepted the reality, but he embraced it through the virtue of this design. And the thing is I really struggle to choose one project. I struggle to choose two projects. This has been an amazing year. I've gotten to work with some of the most creative and innovative folks around. And I think every single one of the other presenters can probably agree with that struggle. So, I mean, any single project that you see before you, it could have been used. In fact, for every single one of these pictures, there's like another 50 that easily could have been focused on. Um, just some projects that are like melt your face beautiful, right? Just stop you in your tracks and just embracing the moment. And some that are just involving some really crucial, innovative sequencing. 2025 was a year of presenting, of public speaking, of getting out, of interacting with folks and trying to take as much as I could from them and use that within my position as a vector for best practices. You know, take case in point, my own home retrofit, where I got to use a lot of the same strategies that I've been talking about, a lot of the same innovative strategies and techniques that I've learned from others, and I try and pass on. So, yeah, thank you very much for your time. And just know I'm grateful that I've gotten to work with you.
Well, thank you, Corey. And we are not quite done yet because last but not least, we have the newest member of our sales team, Griffin Dahl, who's joining us. Griffin, take it away.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate the intro. And yeah, great job, Corey. This guy is a hard act to follow, so I'll do what I can here. Um, my name is Griffin Dahl. I am the 475 rep for Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And being the new guy, I figured I'd start with a broad overview of a few builders that I admire and that I look forward to working with in the year ahead. So we'll get it going. So, Maine Passive House being the first organization, um, I was able to actually meet with Jesper from the founder of Maine Passive House this past week. And they're a high performance builder that's been around since the early 2000s, and a long-term partner with 475. The project that's shown here is an iJost outrigger project that highlights the sheathing layer being the primary air barrier that ties in with the Intello on the ceiling there. And then you have these Larson trusses going upward of the sheathing there for dense pack insulation, and the Mento Plus that will be used to house that and as the WRB there. So yeah, this project I believe met passive house air tightness with like under 3.3 ACH 50. And yeah, so Maine Passive House is a worker owned co-op as of recently, which is a concept I really admire. That said, they have shared equity throughout the organization, um, and it really speaks to the way that they do business, being a triple bottom line. So, as well as having to profit as an organization, they're practicing what they preach as far as being people oriented and planet oriented in the way they do business. And yeah, this past week on Wednesday, I was able to brave the storm from Portland and head over to Gorham, New Hampshire, to meet up with the Maine Passive House team. And this project was single pitch roof, a 2x8 framed build with 3 inches of rock wool insulation to the exterior there. And yeah, it was just really really great to see this team in action and see how they were how they were collaborating, and you could really feel the morale and the the love in the air that they shared in order to get this project done and work through it even on a stormy day at the at 4 p.m. when they're looking to head out of there, but they're had smiles on their faces and we're happy to be doing the work. So it speaks to their business model. So next up, we have New Frameworks out of Essex, Vermont, and they're a straw panel manufacturer. Um, so they're really focused on using natural building practices by taking um, perennial grasses, straw from perennial grasses to sequester carbon in the panels that they build, and they focus as well on high performance upgrades in existing homes, as well as ADUs that they produce. Really cool, unique concept that they're working on. And the Seed Collaborative is also a really neat concept. So they're creating a community around straw panel manufacturers and helping others regionally throughout North America to kind of replicate their business model in design approach, in how they manufacture and their business practices. And New Frameworks is also a worker-owned co-op. So the way that these organizations are doing business is really a testament to the work that they're doing and how they're how they're progressively moving into the future. Uh, Last but not least, we have Emerald Builders out of Maine, and this detail that I wanted to highlight is a concrete-free slab here, a slab-free slab, and gravel was used as an aerated glass fill under this vapor barrier that you could see here. So gravel is really cool because it's post-consumer recycled glass that's used in the fill. Um, so it can take the place of dense poly board insulation. And as you see here, we have Compigo tape sealing that vapor barrier connection, that poly vapor barrier, and Gutex wood fiber board on top of it. More clean details here. We have the ExoSeal Finoc being a capillary break under that sill plate, and then we have the Tescon making that connection from the sill tape to the subfloors here for continuity. Another neat detail to check out is this hero beard concept. So this is another I-joist outrigger. The sheathing layer being the primary air barrier, and the window buck is prepped with some adhero membrane to then tie in with Mento Plus to be used for dense pack insulation, as you can see here on the right hand side. So just a testament to the way that Reggie at Emerald Builders is really attentive and precise with his detailing and installations. And here's another photo of that connection tying in from the primary air barrier on the walls to the roof here. And on the right hand side, you can see that connection that he nifty used Hero in this concept to connect to the Intello X smart vapor retarder on the ceiling. And yeah, once again, more clean design details from Reggie. You can always count on that from Emerald Builders. And here you can see Contigo Solido IQ making the connection to the foundation wall there.
Thank you everyone for a great 2025. We've had a lot of inspiration this year, and we're looking forward to working with everyone next year. We couldn't be more appreciative of the partnerships we have and really appreciate all the incredible work that is happening all across the continent. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and we'll catch you soon.